Alright, good morning everybody and welcome to another video. In today's video we will be looking at kind of the mid to long range forecast here as we head into kind of a quiet period for the next few days, and then things will ramp back up heading into the weekend, and after that it's going to get pretty hectic. So without further ado, we will look at the GFS, the GEFS, and maybe some teleconnections. So starting off with the GFS, you can see the next few days are going to be relatively quiet. We might have a few lake-effect snow showers we're still dealing with today. Then, this is early next week, we're going to have a cutter go through the plains. This might deliver some snow, maybe in the upper Midwest. Doesn't look like it's going to be too big of a deal. Maybe a few inches up there, but it's not really going to really take off until it gets up into Ontario. Behind that, though, it's going to get pretty cold. We're probably going to be looking at temperatures, I'd say, by the time it gets to mid to late next week, probably 10 degrees below average. That seems pretty realistic. For most likely a good amount of time, probably at least, 5-6 days really. So, and then that will really make way for our storm signal, period of opportunity that we're looking at on the 13th to 14th. Now, unfortunately, this is 9-10 days out, so models are showing this big storm now, but, just as a track record, when you go back and we're looking at a big blizzard 10 days out, and it turns out to be like a suppressed garbage, no storm, pretty much, by the time it actually happens. But there have been a few times, but other than that, this is just a signal at this point. Don't take this map, any more than it with a half grain of salt. This is going to change in 4 hours when that 12Z run comes out. But the bottom line is that we're probably going to be looking at a high pressure in central Canada, the north central U.S. The Euro has this a little bit further west and has a little bit more southeast ridging, but it's kind of been fighting that off in the last few runs. So the GFS has kind of been sticking with this idea, in that where you will have that established cold air in the north central plains and really much of the eastern U.S., and that will make way with that high pressure in the northern plains with a lot of moisture. This looks like to be a very active period, and that will, of course, give you that opportunity for potentially a decent storm. So, what this specific run has is something that's probably pretty insane, probably not going to happen, but it's the same general idea of what models have been spitting out, kind of, in that we had this low pressure that would develop over the south central plains, and then it'd either cut up into the Midwest, cut up over us, and give us mainly maybe a mix to rain to maybe some snow in the back end, or it could go up the Tennessee Valley and then transfer to the coast, or just go up straight up the coast the whole, so we're still looking at a good amount of scenarios. Or it could just be nothing at all, go straight east, be a suppressed wave, and, deliver nothing more than a few snow showers to the Carolinas and southern Virginia. So there are lots of different, potential outcomes for this. For all we know, it might not even happen, but there's a pretty good consensus that there will be some type of storm developing in the south central U.S. coming out of the Gulf around this time. That's where our storm signal, and nothing more than a signal, is right now. So this specific run, however, though, just to look at it, it pretty much delivers a good-sized, really pretty big storm for much of the Northeast, or really much of the eastern U.S., but nothing like, you shouldn't be taking this too seriously. So now let's look at temperatures, though. Here on the GEFS, you can see that we'll have some ridging starting early next week as that storm moves up the Midwest, and of course we'll have that southeast ridge, so we'll have a period of maybe above average temperatures early next week. That'll be followed up by, once again, that pretty deep trough heading into central and eastern U.S. It's going to be fighting a little bit of an eastern ridge, but it should still give us, temperatures, like I said, probably 5-10 degrees below average by the time we get in the mid to late next week. And then after that, of course, this is our time, here in December, we really want to have that cold air established if we're even going to be seeing a storm. If we were seeing average temperatures during this period and not much of a cold air source, I'd be a lot more skeptical. But since it looks like we'll have cold air in place and, moisture, at least, that's, the first two steps in getting at least a potential storm for maybe somebody, whether it's us or whether east or west of us or south. But heading into the later portions of mid-November, that kind of continues. And then, so this general theme of below average temps in the northern U.S., kind of above average temps maybe in the southeast and also the south central plains. Now, the Euro is a little bit different in that this is 850 millibars, but it kind of has a little bit weaker troughing across much of the central and eastern U.S., and then also a little bit of troughing also towards the end of the run in the western U.S., and that's due to a PNA that's kind of neutral and an EPO that goes positive. So we'll have to keep looking at this potential for the 13th and 14th, maybe even 15th, but that's how things stand right now, everybody. It's been a short video, but anyways, thanks for watching and stay tuned for more.